This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Dog attack death. A 13-year-old boy is fatally injured by 3 large dogs in Shelburne County.
Shelburne dump. Amnesty International joins the fight to clean up the site and for safe drinking water.
And puck drop. Cape Breton's Keogh Forum, an arena dedicated to women's hockey, officially reopens.
Our next system tracks in on Wednesday, and it's rain on tap for most of the province. Some snow mixing in for northern areas. Your full forecast details are coming up.
Good evening. We begin with some tragic news out of Shelburne County.
The municipality has confirmed a boy who was attacked by 3 dogs over the weekend has now died. In a statement, the municipality says, quote, "It is deeply heartbroken by the tragic loss of a 13-year-old boy following a fatal dog attack in our community. We extend our most sincere condolences to his family, friends, classmates, and all who are grieving this unimaginable loss."
RCMP say the grade 8 student was riding a bicycle past a property on Upper Sandy Cove Road in the community of Welshtown when 3 large breed dogs attacked. The youth was taken to hospital in Halifax via life flight.
Police say the dogs involved in the incident have been euthanized. So far, no charges have been laid.
Today, former IWK CEO Tracy Kitch appeared by video in a Halifax court following her second trial. Here's Blair Rhodes to remind us of the long, winding road of this high-profile investigation that's been in and out of the courts for years.
After 2 trials and nearly a decade, former Children's Hospital CEO Tracy Kitch is about to be sentenced for a second time. The judge will hand down her decision in early February. Here's why it's taken so long to get to this point. Before our first story was published on June 22, 2017, CBC News received a tip about the personal expenses of Tracy Kitch, then the CEO of the IWK Health Centre. Now the expense reports for that position, regardless of who's in it, are required to be published publicly. But CBC filed Freedom of Information requests to better understand those numbers. What CBC got back revealed thousands of dollars in discrepancies between what the IWK Health Centre had posted online and what Kitch actually spent using a corporate credit card. Then IWK CFO Stephen Darcy labeled the discrepancies unintentional errors and insisted the hospital had strong financial controls. Kitch resigned in late August. The next day it was revealed Kitch had not fully repaid more than $20,000 of the $47,000 she had spent in personal expenses. Over the next few months, Stephen Darcy had resigned after going on paid leave, and Kitch eventually repaid what was owed. A year later, on October 23rd, Halifax Regional Police charged Kitch with fraud over $5,000 and breach of trust. Kitch's trial began November 8, 2021. Closing arguments were heard a month later on December 10th. The Crown attorney argued if Kitch didn't know what she was doing was wrong, she was willfully blind to the rules. The defense argued that for Kitch's actions to be fraudulent, there must be actual evidence of deception, and reminded the court that not one witness testified to seeing anything of the sort. On the last day of February the following year, Kitch was found guilty of fraud over $5,000. The charge of breach of trust was stayed. She was eventually, on August 10th, sentenced to 5 months in jail. She was granted bail the next day. On March 7th, 2023, Nova Scotia's Court of Appeal overturned the conviction and ordered a new trial. Kitch's lawyer argued the original judge failed to address some of the critical elements of dishonesty. Following her 2025 retrial, Kitch was found guilty a second time on September 5th of last year. The Crown is asking for 9 months in jail followed by probation. Kitch's lawyer is asking for an 18-month conditional sentence order made up of 12 months of house arrest followed by 6 months of curfew. Blair Rhodes, CBC News, Halifax.
Charges have been laid against a Shubenacadie meat plant and its owner after an investigation by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Kurtmar Meats is located at the site of what formerly housed Moxham Meats, a business that previously had its license suspended by provincial authorities and whose owner pleaded guilty in 2019 to several Meat Inspection Act violations. The company owner, Curtis Moxham, each face 5 charges for alleged violations. One of the allegations is for not removing and properly disposing of certain tissues in cattle. This is required to help prevent the spread of mad cow disease. Another allegation is that a false or misleading statement was made to an inspector. The agency says the business is provincially regulated and remains in business.
Nova Scotia Health is no longer providing a specialized nurse to meet with victims of intimate partner violence in the emergency department. Advocates say the change is a good thing. For the last year, IP victims who were not sexually assaulted could still meet with a nurse from the SANE program, but the victims would give statements to both the nurse and the police, and if there were discrepancies, the statements were held against them in court. Nova Scotia Health says they didn't want to further risk trauma. The support program helped about 20 women through its duration.
This new year is putting the spotlight on an old problem in the town of Shelburne, water contamination that's believed to be linked to a garbage dump in the middle of an African Nova Scotian settlement. Now, an international human rights organization has joined a community battle to bring clean drinking water to residents. Elizabeth Chu reports.
When Louise DeLille welcomes guests,
one for you, Elizabeth.
thanks,
and one for me.
She doesn't offer tap water because it's from her well, which she says is contaminated. Her house is in the town's historic African Nova Scotian community, and it's across from the old town dump, behind those trees. Starting in the 1940s, residential, hospital, and even military garbage was piled up and burned here for decades. It finally closed 10 years ago.
So you can imagine all that stuff just seeping into the ground. I've lost so many members of my family to cancer.
How do you explain that?
I can't explain it. I can surmise what it is, and like most of the community says, it's from the dump.
Now, Amnesty International, the human rights group, is joining the community fight. DeLille took members of the Canadian office to the old dump.
It was an eye-opening to see what's happening. It was also a shock. It's very difficult to believe that we are actually in a first world country, because those conditions don't represent a first world country.
David Mazzini says two basic human rights are at stake: the right to clean drinking water and to land tenure. That's the necessity of clean water for shelter. In November, Amnesty wrote to Shelburne Town Council requesting a meeting.
By failing to supply clean water in Shelburne and in many other communities is a clear violation of international law, international human rights standards.
Environmental racism was the focus of this report by a panel who recommended the province apologize for environmental racism and engage with the community to fix the harm in Shelburne and other Black and Indigenous communities.
Have to congratulate them on hitting that mark, because it's community organizations that have lived that whole environmental racism piece.
But she believes reparations should have been prioritized as a recommendation.
Well, it is for me, because I think of the loss to this community.
Work is happening. Decommissioning the dump has started. The town of Shelburne hired Dillon Consulting to test contamination from the dump. And in this report from December 2023, engineers noted that they observed standing water in residential areas located right by the dump. The report noted shallow groundwater and standing surface water present the potential to contaminate groundwater with bacteria. And high conductivity values were identified. They're usually a sign of contamination. The plan is to eventually cap this site and turn it into a park. As for safe drinking water, 5 years ago, DeLille approached local officials about using this drilled well on the NSCC campus as a potential community well. But it's still dormant. The provincial government says the project is eligible for funding, but an arrangement still hasn't been finalized. DeLille says Amnesty's help in the fight for clean water is welcome.
The more voices we have, the better. People are starting to realize, that this is not just me running my mouth. It's a whole issue, and Amnesty International is a very loud voice. The dump was just behind those trees.
She hopes safe drinking water for her community becomes a reality in her lifetime. Elizabeth Chu, CBC News, Shelburne.
Shelburne Mayor Stan Jacklin tells CBC the town is going to reserve public comment until further review, and they have more comprehensive historical information available. And joining us now, Ryan Snoddon from the CBC Weather Center.
And that deep chill in the air is lifted.
Yeah, that's right. It felt balmy today with temperatures back at least closer to the freezing mark by this afternoon. Tom and Amy, thanks so much. As we look at the weather alerts, we have a special weather statement in effect for Cumberland and northern Colchester counties. And this is thanks to the next system that's on its way in. For the most part, this is going to be rain. But yeah, you can see here across northern areas of the province, later Wednesday, more so Wednesday night into Thursday morning, a trace to as much as 2, 3, 4, 5 centimeters. And here across the 104 and certainly into the Cumberland, Colchester areas, that's where we could climb into the 5 to 10 centimeter range, maybe even 15 centimeters locally, especially over the Cobequid Pass. But for the most part, this system indeed coming in with rain, about a 10 to 20 millimeter shot, but some pockets possibly into the 20 to 30 millimeter range. It all ramps up throughout the day on Wednesday with a bit of a messy mix in the morning and the potential for a bit of icy precip early. We'll talk about that coming up.
All right, stay tuned. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Halifax has asked the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia to weigh in on the province's conditional approval of new Dartmouth Cove infill rules. Halifax Council passed the changes this fall, which only allow water lots to be infilled for public infrastructure or parks. The province's municipal affairs minister approved them with some amendments. Halifax says they have met those conditions, but the minister says he needs more information, including direct confirmation from Justice Canada that the changes do not infringe on federal jurisdiction. Last week, Halifax filed a notice of judicial review saying the conditions are unreasonable.
The ferry may be out of service for the season, but mechanical troubles continue for the MV Confederation. The ferry, which runs between Nova Scotia and PEI, made an attempt to leave the Charlottetown Harbour on Sunday, but had to turn around. Northumberland Ferry says there was a problem with the ship's keel coolers. That's the mechanical system that cools its engines. Today, divers went into the water and under the boat to see if they could figure out what's wrong with it. The ferry was on its way to St. John's for some maintenance work.
Diana Fox-Carney is in Cape Breton today at the Keogh Forum at CBU.
The Prime Minister's wife is there to officially open the rink, which is billed as the home of women's hockey in Canada. Kyle Moore was there.
Wearing a Cape Breton University jersey, stick in hand, Diana Fox-Carney hit the ice. She skated with members of the Cape Breton Blizzard Girls Hockey Association and players from CBU.
This facility, I think, is probably the nicest one I've ever played in. It's fantastic.
Carney is a former university hockey player. She's on the island to celebrate the grand opening of the Keogh Forum, an arena believed to be the first in the country dedicated to women's and girls hockey.
I learned to play hockey in the UK, where there were almost no arenas. We did have access to ice. I learned at university. But our practice time was, I think, 1 till 2 a.m.
Carney's visit comes as Cape Breton is preparing to welcome the best under-18 women's hockey players in the world.
The last 5 years have been a whirlwind, from forming in 2020 to growing from essentially 10 teams and 150 players to over 425 players, and now having our own home arena and hosting the Women's Worlds U18s. It's been an incredible journey that I hope more places in the country can follow as well.
Along with the host Canada, teams in the tournament include Czechia, Finland, Hungary, Slovakia, Sweden, Switzerland, and the United States.
The tickets for the Worlds are going very, very well. I think the member 2 venues are sold out for the Canada Games. I think Center 200 is probably close to sold out maybe for the gold medal at this stage.
Back on the ice, Carney says she follows women's hockey closely and hopes the Maritimes can soon have a professional women's team.
You're not far from Boston and New York, and it makes sense to me.
Carney will drop the ceremonial puck before an exhibition game between Switzerland and Sweden at the Keogh Forum Tuesday evening. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Sydney.
Bit of an icy look at Grand Lake. I think that's going to be melting soon.
I should think so.
Ryan's got his forecast coming up after the break.
This weather update is brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
All right, things bouncing around a little bit in the weather center there. Looks like there's some rain on the way for us.
And speaking of bouncing, temperatures bouncing up.
Yeah, that's right. You can notice the difference today, as you said earlier, Amy, and those temps are going to stay near and above average over the next couple of days, which
that.
I think we'll all take. It's just been so cold for so long,
Yeah.
right? We're not used to this. Typically, we do bounce
not
around
ready.
a little bit more. Yeah, right? So let's start with our current temperatures, and you can see we're on the plus side in through the southwest right now. Halifax is at the freezing mark. Feeling balmy at that temperature. -2 to -4, -5 in through the northeast of the province. As we look at those winds, they are in from the southeast for the most part, sustained in the 20, even 30 kilometer per hour range along parts of the coast, with some gusts upwards of 30 to 40 along parts of the coast. We've been looking at a couple of flakes. Really the big concern tonight, as the precip is going to be fairly light, is flurries and a little bit of freezing drizzle possible, as those temperatures are going to be just at and likely just below the freezing mark for the northeast of the province in particular. And that precip light enough that not enough to form those snowflakes aloft, but falling down as drizzle or freezing drizzle. And so just be mindful that things could be a little bit icy in patches tomorrow morning early on. As this next system moves in with a little bit more moisture, that chance will actually increase early on, and then we'll get into the warm sector of this system and we'll bump those temperatures up. More fun off to the west as things do stay active, and you can see those temperatures riding below freezing for most of the country. Calgary 4 on the plus side, Toronto back up to the freezing mark as well. The Arctic air has retreated back to the north for now. Temperatures lows tonight will remain right around 2 degrees in through the Yarmouth area, right around the freezing mark. Kentville down through Bridgewater. Halifax will drop to -2, and then we'll actually see those temperatures bumping up again overnight tonight. Cape Breton -6 to -8. Note the temperatures for Wednesday, 3, 4, 5 degrees. Generally, it's an easterly wind for tomorrow, southeasterly wind for Cape Breton, gusting to 50, but lay sweat winds will gust 60 and 70 and even 80 kilometers per hour for tomorrow. So a heads up on that. So that first little wave of precip is moving out. Note by the time we get to Wednesday morning, lots of clouds early and just some light precipitation falling right in through here, which could be, again, a little on the icy side. This model not doing a great job of showing it, but it would be light, but enough that we could see some of that coming in as freezing drizzle. By the noon hour, we're really starting to see the rain coming in across the southwest. Tri-County area up through central, and into the afternoon, we're all into the rain. Amherst right near the freezing mark, likely some wet snow, perhaps some freezing rain mixing in for you folks, as well as the Highlands. And then as we work our way through the Wednesday evening time frame, the heavier rain moving out, it's a taper to showers. But for northern areas, as the winds become northeast, this is where we're talking about the potential for that accumulating snow for Cumberland and Colchester counties, and perhaps into Pictou County. That's our best chance of some accumulating snow. Could see a dusting back further to the west. As I mentioned earlier, this is where we could see a little bit of a dusting, some flakes. But right through here is where the possibility of that 5 to 10, maybe 15 centimeter totals are certainly possible. The forecast models have been kind of consistent here with a blanket 10 to 20 millimeters and then a swath of 20 to 30 millimeters of rain, and where that falls has been, well, subject to change based on the model we're looking at. Things have been migrating a bit further to the south and east with this system, and right now it looks like that's the best chance right up through central areas of the province. By the time we get to Thursday morning, some lingering flurries, Cape Breton in the northeast, but generally we're mixing to a mix of sun and cloud. On the heels of this system, those northwest winds will be 20 gusting 30 to 40, so it will be a little on the chilly side. We are looking at Friday back to, yes, some high pressure, and looking at not a bad day to start. Increasing clouds, and we will see our next system rolling in Friday night into Saturday. And it looks like Saturday, some rain to start, tapering to showers, and hey, maybe even a break of sun or two. We should be around 0 this time of year. So we're near seasonal Thursday, then above seasonal as we work our way into the weekend. And yeah, Sunday standing out like a sore thumb. Looks like we could see some snow, some ice pellets, some freezing rain. Lots of uncertainty with that one too, Tom and Amy, but that one we'll be keeping an eye on over the next few days.
Variety there for sure.
Wide variety.
Yes. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, nonprofits in Nova Scotia had a busy 2025 buying housing to preserve its affordability. The work was possible because of financial support from the province.
But as government spending is set to be reined in, groups say they're trying to become more financially independent. Taryn Grant reports.
Nonprofits are hustling to save what little affordable housing exists in Nova Scotia. One Dartmouth-based nonprofit bought close to 300 units of housing in 2025. The goal is to save the buildings from being flipped or redeveloped by for-profit companies, and ultimately keep the rents low.
We're not just acquiring the units, acquiring the buildings. We're looking to continue to invest in that sense of community.
Rooted is one of several nonprofits that tapped into government programs last year to scoop up affordable housing. The PC government started these loan and grant programs 3 years ago, but 2025 was a banner year. Rooted spent more than $36 million to buy and fix up 10 buildings, and it built one new apartment building. The provincial government covered close to half the expense for the acquisitions. Ward says that support has been essential, but he's cognizant the province is facing more than $1 billion deficit.
We need to be able to chart multiple paths and be able to adapt when funding maybe isn't there from government.
The provincial housing minister says he wants to keep funding groups to preserve affordable housing, but he couldn't make any guarantees. Deliberations are happening now for the spring budget.
We are working right now to make sure that there is a continued suite of programs to continue to make progress.
They're really not ambitious enough to address the problems faced by Nova Scotians.
Leviton Reid says it's not just about maintaining these programs. They need to be scaled up to keep pace with private developers. She says that while hundreds of affordable housing units have been preserved, thousands have been lost. Taryn Grant, CBC News, Dartmouth.
Coming up, a Dalhousie International Relations professor weighs in on the situation with the U.S. and Venezuela.
There are many questions about the future of Venezuela following the U.S. capture of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife on the weekend. The couple were indicted on drug and weapons charges and pleaded not guilty in a New York court Tuesday. I'm joined now by Robert Hewish, an associate professor at Dalhousie University who teaches international relations and sanctions. So CBC has heard from Venezuelans who are quite relieved that the Maduro regime is gone. I'm wondering, first of all, your reaction to what happened, the U.S. taking him into custody and his wife, and the motives behind it, I guess.
Yeah, there's some 8 million Venezuelans who have fled, who are displaced because of Nicolas Maduro directly. So seeing him in a courtroom in handcuffs is probably a big relief, something to celebrate for many people whose lives have been completely disrupted or destroyed by his governance in the last 10 years or so. So the thing to remember, though, Amy, is that this is Mr. Maduro, who's been removed from government there. Everyone who worked beneath him, from now President Rodriguez all the way down, anyone who was in a position of governance in Venezuela last week still has their job. So there's not been a formal regime change, and nor from Donald Trump's White House has there been any indication about trying to engage with this operation for the creation of democracy or stability in the country.
Well, what about the legality of what the U.S. did in the first place?
There's nothing legal about this from an international point of view, even a domestic point of view. Trump did not run this through Congress. He didn't go through formal channels. The one thing that he did do was notify members of the oil industry, as he confirmed in Air Force One, both before and after the attack. So in terms of U.S. domestic politics, there's a lot of ammunition to challenge the Trump regime on this. And secondly, internationally, I'm thinking he's already violated the at least 2 articles out of the UN Charter. So in terms of international law, now is the time for many countries to start speaking out to say that you cannot go into a foreign country and kidnap either an official head of state, an unofficial head of state, or just anybody to make them appear in your court. If that's going to be the rule of law now, we're entering into a very dangerous world.
Well, you talked about the oil companies. The Prime Minister has come out saying he's not worried about the impact on Canadian oil, saying, you know, the production's cheaper, cleaner, lower risk. But what do you think could happen as a result of this?
I think Mr. Carney's right on that we spend some 4 million barrels of oil from Alberta to the U.S. daily. And it's a huge amount, and it's secure, and it's safe, and we have working relationships that allow that to pass through. Mr. Trump's agenda for more pressure and power in the hemisphere is one that involves intimidating Canada. And we've already seen discussions about pipelines in Canada going to the Pacific to try to divert away from a potentially unstable U.S. market. The thing that matches up here is that the type of oil that comes out of Alberta, that sour crude, is the same type of oil that's under the soil in Venezuela. The thing with Alberta's oil system is that it's up and going. It can flow through pipelines. We have the chemicals to make it work. Venezuela does not. It's in a system of recline. When all those refineries started to shut down about 10 years ago, what was a capacity of up to 3 million barrels a day in Venezuela is just under 800,000 now. So if Trump wants to get his hands into the oil underneath Venezuela, it's going to require billions of dollars of investment by U.S. companies and probably some direct assistance by the U.S. government to make it work.
But how does Canada fit into the U.S. strategy when it comes to oil?
So I think what we're seeing here is if we go back a year, Mr. Trump was very open about Canada becoming a 51st state. And even this week, we're hearing some of his vociferousness about Greenland. Stephen Miller today talked about the need for the U.S. to have control of Greenland for Arctic security. I would say we will start hearing more hot rhetoric out of the White House about Canada going further. And if really his game is over the next 5 years to try to turn off the taps on Alberta oil and replace it with Venezuelan, that's going to be a costly, dangerous project on the U.S. side, but it will also be one that could trigger political fears and instability in Western Canada. Something about a sovereignty or a referendum that I don't think any of us want to hear right now.
Does the UN have any sway, any teeth in all of this? Like, you know, he's talking about Cuba as well.
That's right. Cuba is a country where they are completely dependent upon Venezuelan energy, and they have had a disastrous economic time since the COVID-19 pandemic. So for any sort of independence for Cuba to continue, they need energy. And Mr. Rubio and Mr. Trump convince the Venezuelan government to stop selling oil to Cuba, that might bode well with voters in Florida. But we're going to have a major crisis, a humanitarian crisis, in fact, in Cuba that's already receiving assistance from the World Food Program to feed their own kids there, that I don't think the U.S. is prepared to take on. In terms of what the UN can do, well, right now we need to be very careful about monitoring and watching all the international laws that are being broken right now, because the sort of foreign policy that Mr. Trump's coming forward, it doesn't meet international standards. It doesn't meet best practices with global business. It doesn't even meet traditional military tactics. So whenever this dust cools down and these sort of crony ideas that he's putting forward, whenever they back off, that'll be the time for restitution and justice. But right now, as that ball is sort of moving out of control, there's really not much the world can do to stop it on paper.
All right, well, absolutely a lot going on. Thank you for your perspective. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Amy.
Coming up, as we heard, the future of Venezuela remains uncertain, and there's lots of anxiety for the people who live there.
And the Prime Minister is in Paris. Mark Carney meets with other Ukraine allies to push for security guarantees. Welcome back. As we've been telling you, these are anxious times for people living in Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro may be gone, but members of his regime are still in place. And there are reports that the government is intensifying its crackdown on political dissidents.
Jorge Barrera is part of the CBC News team at the border between Colombia and Venezuela. He has more on what he's hearing from Venezuelans in that region.
I'm here at the foot of the Simón Bolívar International Bridge that connects Colombia, where I am, with Venezuela behind me. This has been the setting for some of the most dramatic scenes in the tumultuous reign of the Nicolas Maduro regime. At some points in time, tens of thousands of Venezuelans have crossed through this bridge daily, fleeing the economic collapse in their country. I did manage to speak with some Venezuelans who were crossing the bridge recently, and they told us that, you know, they have some guarded hope about what is coming next for Venezuela. I spoke with some who live in the country who are saying, you know, we have seen this movie before. We're trying to get on with our normal daily lives, or we're ready for whatever may come, but we're sticking close to home. For those who are living on the outside, they are watching and waiting. There's still the desire to come back to Venezuela, but the situation is not right for them to return. And partly it's because this uncertainty around who is in charge of Venezuela. The former vice president was sworn in as president yesterday in a ceremony at the National Assembly. But there's conflicting analysis as to whether she really does hold the reins of power. Is it actually the Venezuelan military and the defense minister, Vladimir Padrón? Or is it Diosdado Cabello, the interior minister, who has his own base of support that controls power? There's also the U.S. administration, which says they are running Venezuela. But then there's also Maria Corina Machado, who spoke with Fox News last night, and this is what she had to say.
Every day I make a decision where I am more useful for a cause. That's why I stayed in hiding for over 16 months. At this moment, I'm more useful to our cause, being able to speak out from where I am right now. But I'm planning to go as soon as possible back home.
If you remember, Maria Corina Machado led the campaign that many believe toppled Maduro at the ballot box in 2024. Now, I spoke with a retired history teacher in his 70s who lives in Venezuela, and he said it will still be many months before the future of Venezuela becomes clear. Jorge Barrera, CBC News, at the Colombia-Venezuela border.
U.S. President Donald Trump is doubling down on his threat to acquire Greenland. It comes just days after his administration staged that incursion in Venezuela and captured its leader to face drug trafficking charges in New York. It's all prompting fears both around the world and in the U.S. about a possible new American strategy of militaristic imperialism. Katie Nicholson reports from Washington.
The White House statement is likely only to further inflame the worries in Denmark and its self-governing territory, Greenland. It says President Trump has made it well known that acquiring Greenland is a national security priority of the United States, and it's vital to deter our adversaries in the Arctic region. The president and his team are discussing a range of options to pursue this important foreign policy goal, and of course, utilizing U.S. military is always an option at the commander-in-chief's disposal. That from the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. Remember, it was just last night that Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, suggested no one would fight the U.S. for the territory. Some in Congress are expressing concern about this new wave of expansionist language and messaging from the Trump administration. Earlier today, before this White House statement came out, Republican Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky weighed in on the operation in Venezuela and his concerns about statements from the administration that the U.S. will run that country and take its oil.
Imagine if you're an opponent of Maduro, you're pro-American, today you're holding up an American flag saying, thank God we got rid of the dictator and this is a good thing. But then in the next minute they tell you that America now, it won't be the dictator Maduro in charge, now America will be in charge of your oil. I can see how this will destroy goodwill in Venezuela, the same way in Greenland and Canada it's destroyed goodwill. The whole idea that Canada will become a 51st state has destroyed goodwill.
Paul says the U.S. needs to be more careful and respectful in the way it treats the world. And earlier today, we also heard from Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who was trying to frame the U.S.'s intentions around Greenland for reporters and use more diplomatic language.
I'm not saying we're going to go take over Greenland. I'm saying we're going to build up our military presence, and we need to create a new relationship between the United States and Greenland to make sure our investment is secure.
At the same time, across the Senate floor, Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego is seizing on this moment to introduce an amendment to a defense spending bill that would prohibit the use of funds for any military force or hostilities against Greenland. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Washington.
More than 24 countries, including Canada, have agreed to provide defense guarantees for Ukraine if a peace deal is reached with Russia. The statement released by the so-called Coalition of the Willing says Europe will lead the effort with Canadians and Australians assisting. But as Murray Brewster reports, another issue hung over the leaders' meeting in Paris.
A low-key beginning to a high-stakes day. Prime Minister Mark Carney breakfasting with French President Emmanuel Macron. A gathering aimed at giving Ukraine concrete security commitments ahead of possible peace talks with Russia. But U.S. military action in Venezuela and the notion Greenland, a territory of Denmark, a NATO country, might be up next, cast a long shadow.
We stand with Denmark, we stand with Greenland. Our closest partnership is with the United States, and we'll work with everybody to make sure that we move forward together.
Several European coalition countries, including France, the UK, Germany, and Spain, released a joint statement today saying Greenland's future belongs to the people of Greenland. The show of solidarity for Greenland comes amid stark warnings from Denmark to take Donald Trump's threats seriously. If the United States chooses to attack another NATO country militarily, then everything stops, said the Danish Prime Minister, including NATO. A sobering message as Carney met with the Secretary General of NATO, and later with Denmark, where the Danish media has only one question.
What happens if Trump tries to annex Greenland?
Increasing the concern, Trump advisor Stephen Miller is refusing to rule out U.S. military action in Greenland.
Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland.
When asked about those remarks, Carney suggested NATO would stand strong, noting Canada's foreign minister will be making a trip to Greenland in February.
As NATO, we can provide security for all of NATO, Greenland included. And as the threat environment is changing, we're making the investments in order to do that.
The U.S. envoy to Ukraine, Steve Witkoff, and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner took part in today's conference and likely got an earful. In the end, it was messy, but Ukraine got the security guarantees it was looking for. How robust and enforceable they might be remains to be seen. Murray Brewster, CBC News, Paris.
Canada's intelligence watchdog is sounding the alarm over budget cuts. It warns cost-cutting will limit its ability to keep a close eye on the people who deal with the country's most sensitive information at a time when Ottawa looks to spend big on defense. Catherine Tunney explains what's at risk.
Inside the buildings behind me, Canadian spies are at work gathering top secret information. Their work is classified and largely hidden from the public, but not from the eyes of its watchdog agencies.
There's traditionally in Canada been an expectation that with great powers comes great responsibility. And these services have great powers.
Here at the National Security and Intelligence Review Agency, investigators keep tabs on how that power is used, making sure anyone who deals with intelligence, from spies to Mounties, is behaving above board and that the rights of individuals are respected. But the watchdog is warning that planned Liberal budget cuts are putting that work at risk. Like other government departments, and CIRA has been told to slash its budget. Craig Forsey says that belt-tightening will likely mean fewer reviews and a lighter touch.
That is that we may not be able to follow every thread to the extent that we currently do. And both those outcomes would be regrettable and I think perilous in terms of the confidence that one can have in the legality and ultimately the efficacy of our security and intelligence community.
The cuts come at a time when the government is trying to pass legislation that would make it easier for CSIS and the RCMP to get private electronic information and expand the Coast Guard's mandate to gather intelligence.
We will have to reduce the degree of scrutiny that we conduct in relation to those agencies.
The reality is, this national security observer says a wider rethink is overdue.
there was supposed to be a review as to how these agencies actually operate, and so far that hasn't been done. So it's hard to actually know the impact that this will have without that review that was promised.
The federal government says it will work with NSIRA about its concerns, but the public safety minister has been clear. Cuts are coming to the intelligence watchdog. Catherine Tunney, CBC News, Ottawa.
Nestle has issued an urgent recall of some of its baby formula sold in Europe and several other countries, but not in Canada. The Swiss food and drink maker says certain batches of SMA infant milk substitute and follow-up formulas are under recall. The affected products could be contaminated with a toxin that can cause nausea and vomiting and should not be fed to children. Nestle says no illness or symptoms have been reported so far, but the recall is being issued out of an abundance of caution. No Nestle baby formula products sold in Canada are effective.
There's a new pill available to Americans tonight to help treat obesity. It's not approved in Canada yet, but as Jennifer Lagrassa tells us, generic, cheaper versions of popular weight loss medications are expected to arrive here this year.
Arlene Wernich is starting this new year feeling a lot healthier.
I've always suffered with obesity my whole life.
Since March, the 63-year-old is down 50 pounds. She says it's thanks to a new diet, exercise, and a semaglutide injection.
I've obviously seen a remarkable difference in my weight.
Now the first pill form of a GLP-1 drug is hitting the U.S. market. Manufacturer Novo Nordisk announcing Americans can now buy a daily pill of Wegovy, making it easier to take for weight loss than weekly injections.
The availability of new treatments always provides hope for patients.
It's also cheaper. The starter dose for now just $149 U.S. a month, about $200 less than injections.
It just allows us to tailor the treatment to the individual patient's needs.
Health Canada has not yet approved the Wegovy pill. It is also considering generic versions of the medication that right now are only available under brand names like Ozempic and Wegovy. 9 submissions are awaiting approval by Health Canada. Experts say generics will increase access, which creates other concerns.
People taking it on the side of their desk for crash dieting and things like that is never advisable.
More options will also lower the price of the shots.
We're looking at about $100 to $125, $150 a month, which is way lower than what it is right now.
Depending on the dosage, Canadians can pay up to $400 a month out of pocket, as many insurance companies don't cover the fee for obesity.
All I thought about was food.
Wernich pays $240 a month for her Ozempic. Knowing that she might be on the medication for the rest of her life, she's looking forward to cheaper options. Experts predict that generic weight loss drugs could hit Canadian shelves by the summer. Jennifer Lagrassa, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, Team Canada will be bringing home some hardware from the World Juniors.
But it's not exactly what they were hoping for.
McKenna centers it. Here's Hayes with the backhand shot, ripping it down, rebound, score! Gavin McKenna finally cashes, and it's 6-3. And that's a 4-point game for Gavin McKenna.
Canada beat Finland 6-3 in the tournament's bronze medal game last night. Zane Parek's goal and assist in the game allowed him to set a new record for most points by a Canadian defenseman at a single World Juniors.
This is the 6th time Canada has won bronze in the World Juniors. Canada does hold the record of 20 gold medals at the tournament, but the team hasn't taken the top spots since 2023. Sweden won this year's World Junior Championship with a 4-2 victory against Czechia Monday night.
Was against Latvia?
Right.
This weather update is brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
Well, just a prediction, the viewer picks might be turning more brown or maybe sort of
Green,
greenish.
maybe, yeah.
The next few days with Ryan's forecast for sure.
Yeah, it might not be as pretty, but it'll be warmer.
That's right. Exactly. Temperatures on the rise. But I think I picked a nice picture today that kind of captures the last couple of weeks with the wintry scene, and certainly some beautiful mornings when we have been looking at these clearer skies with some sunshine and those cold temps.
Oh, that is gorgeous.
That's a lovely winter scene, isn't it?
Terrific sunrise from Patricia Brady, at Grand Lake, and just an absolutely stunning pic. Love that the little shed there is lit up.
I know.
Yeah.
And the purple is
really
pretty.
nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
sky's
beautiful.
gorgeous.
Thanks to Patricia for sharing this. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca. So as we look at the timeline, the chance for some flakes, some freezing drizzle overnight tonight with that very light precipitation. That risk does extend into tomorrow morning. So just be mindful, especially in the northeast half of the province, that we could see some patchy, icy conditions for tomorrow, no question. And then we're going to be warming up with the chance for showers and then eventually periods of rain coming through with this system Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening. We'll then taper back to some showers through the overnight. And again, it's Cumberland and Colchester on the backside of this system with the north winds that we could see some accumulation in the 5 to 10 to 15 centimeter range. Could see as much as 5 centimeters for places like Pictou County and Antigonish County and northern Cape Breton on the tail end of that system as it does move out. The northwest winds for Thursday will be keeping our temperatures a bit cooler, but still into the low single digits, which will take for this time of year. You can see 2 to 5 degrees across Nova Scotia on Wednesday. And again, there goes that first system. And here comes that secondary low, which, as we just saw, will bring us that messy mix on the back side of the system. And then high pressure moves back in for Friday. That's going to keep things quiet through the good chunk of the day. Rain tapers to showers on Saturday morning into the afternoon, and that icy mix for Sunday.
All right, lots going on. Thanks so much, Ryan. Well, Chinese conservationists have opened a center to protect and study giant pandas.
It spans 120 hectares in the southwest part of the country. The facility features 54 specialized enclosures and deals with breeding, cub rearing, as well as disease control and rescue operations.
20 giant pandas moved into their new home in November. It can accommodate 22,000 visitors daily.
This area of China is considered key for wild giant panda conservation. It has a sizable wild population and genetic diversity.
They're so cute.
Pretty fancy digs. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Good night.